What's up, everybody? This is Sean Ferrer, the culturally woke Republican, signing on a Wednesday. I believe it's the 7th. The only reason why I know it's the 7th is because I still have to work 2 more days, and then I have another day of work. So anyway, let's move forward. I have a whole bunch of interesting topics to actually talk to you about today, but the one thing I do want to say, I want to thank all of my subscribers and the people that are leaving comments and stuff like that. I could care less whether you're on the left or the right. Any comment to me is something I want to read. So, keep doing it. Works for me. Okay? Let's get right into it. The first thing I want to talk about is the Biden administration recently has stated that they're considering building Trump's wall. Go figure. Never saw this one coming. No, actually I did. That's called, severe sarcasm. At this point, the Biden administration is kind of like Wile E. Coyote. You know what I mean? You ever see those cartoons, Warner Brother cartoons, where Wile E. Coyote jumps off the cliff, and then there's that one brief second where all of a sudden he looks back into the camera and realizes the ground is not underneath him? Well, guess what? That's what's going on right now. Because they made this wildish chant of, yes, bring, the same thing we did way back when. Bring your sick, bring your tired, bring your hungry, this and that. The problem with that is the idea that, guess what? The turnout is way more than what they thought. And now they're panicking. They're scurrying. They don't really know exactly what to do with this type of crisis. So they immediately went back to President Trump's policy. Where, you know what, and Jen Psaki is wow. That woman can lie with the best of them. She is basically, she's better of a bullshit artist than my ex-wife. I think that is absolutely true. I will not tell you her name, but I am going to tell you that, yes, she is a better bullshit artist than my ex-wife. Okay? She is asked this question in a press conference. Okay? And immediately goes on the defensive, but at the same time literally still passes the same narrative lie. The border wall is on pause, but a lot of the border wall was actually already funded, so we might do this, we might do that. Yeah, you know what, once again, just evade, circle back, same strategy, except Here's my big slogan for this podcast. Is the idea that, guess what? The blowback is starting. Even Democrats at this point are starting to go, yeah, I think we went too far. I think, yeah, we might have actually gone too far. This radical leftist theory that we were trying to push. Because honestly, think about it. Joe Biden was actually elected to be a houseplant. That's what he was elected to be. He was elected to be somebody that just kind of stood there, if he can, and just wave and smile. And that's basically what the left thought about him. Where they're like, okay, we'll put him in office because he'll just sign anything we want and everything will be fine. Okay, well, guess what? Things are not going fine. Okay? The border wall, or the border itself, right now is in crisis. 500 children, 500 showed up yesterday at the border, unaccompanied by adults, and now we have to shelter them because they're children. Well, okay, yeah, I understand that. I'm never going to look at, children and be like, okay, I can't help you. No. But at the same time, it's the only reason why this is happening is because it's kind of think about it this way. Okay, if you're a candy store, okay, and you put a sign on the front of your store in the window saying free candy, what do you think is going to happen? You're going to have an abundance of children or even adults. They're just going to show up because they want the free candy. Well, that's what the Biden administration did during the elections, during the primaries, and now into his presidency, basically did. Where he just went, sure, come on in. We'll take care of you. Well, now the turnout is a little bit more than what they're used to, or a little bit more than what they can handle. So, what are they doing? Oh, that's right. They're going back to Donald Trump's actual policies that were working. That makes you wonder, doesn't it? See, when the Democrats actually feel that they're in hot water, they will immediately go back to a Republican or conservative policy. And the reason why, but they'll just rename it, first of all. They just rename it. It's still the same policy, but they just rename it. It's better for them. You know, because they wouldn't want their public to think that, you know, they were siding with a Republican, you know, that actually knew what the hell he was doing. Nah, wouldn't want them to do that. That would crush the narrative. That would crush all of their policy dreams. And they wouldn't want to do that. So, what they'll do is they'll just rename it and say, okay, yeah, we're going to do this in the sake of this. And that in itself is just redundant. I mean, it's very hypocritical. In actuality, if you really want to get like psychological on it, it's kind of narcissistic behavior. It's narcissistic tendencies. But I do believe that a majority of politicians are narcissists. But anyway, so that was the first subject that I really wanted to talk about. And once again, I have my notes. The other one, the second one, is Major League Baseball pulls the All-Star game from Georgia. And Dems say, the Democrats, they say it's because of new Jim Crow laws. New Jim Crow laws. First of all, Joe Biden was around during Jim Crow. Matter of fact, he actually voted against the idea of desegregating schools from blacks and whites. So this, to me, is like very interesting on the idea that, okay, so they're trying to push the narrative that the new voting laws in Georgia are racist, and therefore the Major League Baseball Corporation, okay, is culturally woke. So, therefore, they're going to follow the left. And the reason for this, okay, is a really interesting reason, okay? You have to understand how corporations work in America, okay? If they go woke and they support regulation, okay, what happens is, okay, yeah, that regulation might hurt them just a little bit, but what it does is it hurts their competition a lot, okay? So, like I said, they pulled the All-Star game from Georgia, from Atlanta, Georgia, which they're saying that is because they feel that the new voting laws that were passed in Georgia, which is a Republican state, are racist. Okay, let's go from there. Okay, you're moving the All-Star game, which is completely destroying jobs and taking away from mass revenue in Atlanta, from a city that is 51% black. And what are you going to do? You're going to move that All-Star game from there to Colorado, to Denver, which is 72% white. Tell me where the racism is. I'm looking for it. I want to know. I really do. I want to know. I want to know. I want to know. I need to know. How does this ideology work? Because last time I checked, I mean, I'm serious. I really freely admit this. I'm not stupid. I know I'm not stupid. I hold college degrees. And just because you went to college does not mean you're like a really intelligent person, but I do this podcast, and if you guys have actually been listening, I'm not really stupid. So, I want to know how this works. And then, how about this? Let's take the race card and throw it out the window. Let's put racism aside, okay? Let's say that the Democrats are not saying that the new laws in Georgia are racist, okay? Okay. So let's say that they're saying that they're more strict. Okay, let's go on that point. In Colorado, the laws to vote are literally 23% more strict than they are in Georgia after the new laws were presented. Explain to me how this works. I want to know. I really do. I'm serious. Leave it in the comments. Please tell me. Tell me how this works. Because I'm still banging my head against the wall for it. It doesn't work. All this is a power play. It's a power play on corporations. It's a power play on money. And you know what? Joe Biden is like dialing himself back right now. Like sitting there going, woo, you know what? I just hurt my friends. Because Atlanta is basically a Democrat-run city. Okay, so what he did by endorsing the idea of Major League Baseball taking the All-Star game from Atlanta and moving it to Denver, he just screwed a lot of people out of money. And that's going to be kept. That's going to be something he's going to be noted for, and he knows that. So therefore, he's going to dial it back because everything has to fit the narrative, people. That's the way it works. The narrative always has to be succeeded. If it's not, the whole entire thing falls apart. All of their ideas, all of their policies, all of their radicalism, all of it falls apart just that fast. Like that. And they can't handle that. So therefore, the mainstream media steps in and they start to report things on Republicans that, first of all, they completely hatchet-jobbed. I mean, they're leaving stuff out of stories. They're leaving stuff out of videos. They're cutting videos. They're cutting interviews. This and that. And what they're doing is they're trying to keep the narrative. It just continues. It snowballs and snowballs until eventually they can't keep up the narrative. And then they get called out for every single hack they've done. You see this with cancel culture. You know what I mean? Like, you know, somebody getting called out from a Twitter post that they posted like 7 years ago when they were still a teenager, but now they're in the public sector and they're being called out and fired for something that they said when they were 16. If that's not stupidity, I don't know what is, but whatever. We'll move on from that. Okay, and we're back. I had to take a break for a second, but I am back with my next topic. Just like I said about the last topic, okay, they're just playing politics. That's all they're doing. It's playing politics. It's something that, you know what I mean? It's going to happen every single time. And the Democrats are really good at this. So, my third topic for today. Ron DeSantis is disrespected by 60 Minutes. Okay, let me get on this topic on the idea that Ron DeSantis, first of all, is the governor of Florida, which is where I live. Okay? Ron DeSantis is basically awesome. He is stuck strong on all of his conservative views. He's actually from Dunedin, which is like 15 minutes from my house. Okay? I mean, this man has definitely had one hell of a career in politics. But, okay, let's put that aside. Let's talk about 60 Minutes. This is hilarious. Okay, so Ron DeSantis is having a press conference, and 60 Minutes is there to, of course, ask questions. Okay, so they do. And one of the questions is, did Ron DeSantis take a bribe, basically, a $100,000 bribe from the Publix Corporation to be able to allow them to administer the vaccine in the state of Florida? Okay. Anybody that's watching this that's not from the state of Florida, okay, guess what? There's a Publix literally on every single corner in the state of Florida. There's 800 locations in the state of Florida. Okay? That in itself, what happened was CVS and Walgreens had a specific goal that they set out on, and Ron DeSantis allowed them to complete that goal. Now, once they completed that goal, he started to look with city councilmen and mayors of different counties and cities in the state of Florida on the idea of, you know, let's figure out a way to roll out this vaccination as fast as possible. Reason why? The state of Florida is literally the oldest state besides Maine. Okay, we have like the second largest population of old people in this country. Okay? So, he thought to himself, he's like, you know what? His advisors are telling him, they're like, you know what? We might be able to get Publix to do it. They have a pharmacy. They can do it. Well, there's 800 locations now added to be able to get this so-called vaccine, which, as far as I'm concerned, yeah, we'll talk about that on another podcast. But Okay, so he's called out by 60 Minutes. And they ask him, did you take this bribe or this and that? And of course, he immediately goes, no, this is completely fake news. This is a narrative that you're trying to push in order to shame and shatter me. And I'm not going to stand for it. Okay? What's really funny is the idea, that's actually what 60 Minutes reported in their video. If you actually watch the true video, Ron DeSantis actually explains the entire thing in detail. That right there, to me, is great journalism. Oh yeah, you guys are seriously doing exactly what you need to do, right? Pushing the narrative. Because that's all mainstream media does now. They used to be journalists. They did. They used to be journalists where they would report the facts and the news, and that's what they did. Now, not so much. So, anyway, Palm Beach is one of the largest counties in Florida. Okay, and their mayor, or their mayor or representative from Palm Beach is a Democrat. And he actually came right out and went, yeah, your story's crap. That's not what he said, that's not what he meant, that's not what he did, and your story's crap. So this is what I'm coming back to, is the idea that Democrats at this point know, they're starting to realize they're already Thelma and Louise off the cliff. And they figured out at that moment that, guess what? They're in the car and they're falling. And they're falling fast. Like 2022 for the Senate and the House is going to be horrible for Democrats. Because all of these radical issues that they're trying to push, it just goes further and further down the rabbit hole. It just keeps going and keeps going and keeps going. And eventually, like I said, the blowback is going to be catastrophic. That's the funny part. To me, that is one of those things where I'm just like, really? So that was it, huh? Okay. If that's the narrative that you want to push, if that's really corporate woke America. That is my fourth topic for this podcast. I think it's important to realize the idea that, okay, the corporate world at this point has, one, embraced cancel culture, which I think is, probably literally the most ignorant and stupid thing that we can actually do to people on the planet. But you know what? The woke, and I do understand, I will freely admit that my podcast is actually titled The Culturally Woke Republican. The reason for that is it's a play on words. Like, apparently, I'm a little bit more woke than the left. But let's go into this corporate financial structure, okay? First of all, Coca-Cola was like one of the first people that came out, and they were basically giving like critical race theory to their employees. Like, they had to watch this video and actually believe in this and this and that. First of all, racism is at like literally an all-time low in this country compared to when it was in Jim Crow. That being said, how is America more racist now than then? I mean, when Joe Biden actually voted to not desegregate schools. Don't worry, I'll wait. I'm still waiting. It doesn't exist. It's a narrative. It's something that the left is trying to push. And what it does is it makes everybody that is on the opposite side of the aisle, we're all racist. We're all racist. It doesn't matter what we think. Like, we're inherently racist. We're born racist. Like, it's in our white culture. I don't understand that. I have black friends, I have Hispanic friends, I have Arab friends, I have, I have Asian friends. There are tons of people that I know and I see on a daily basis. that even them, they go, this whole entire narrative is completely stupid. But, you know, we're all supposed to just go along, right? Right? With the woke mob. That's what we're supposed to do. So, corporate America has got this idea, okay? And what their idea is the idea that they think that we're going to push certain regulations, okay? But those regulations, yeah, they're going to hurt us a little bit, but they're going to hurt our competitors a lot. And it's so much easier to go on with the woke mob. Because if you don't, well, guess what? You could be canceled. You could be boycotted. You know what I mean? There are so many different segments that could actually be done to you in your political career or your public career or anything of that nature, especially if you're an artist or anything of that nature. So, my question is, America, what are we going to do about it? I mean, is it our choice to just lay down and be done? Is it our choice to just sit back and be like, you know what? Apparently we are definitely not as tough as the people in the 1940s or the 1960s and 70s when Jim Crow was actually passed. Are we not that tough anymore? Yeah, apparently we're not. We just go on the idea that, yeah, like as I've said before, if you're my neighbor, you stay on your side of the fence and I'll stay on my side of the fence. And guess what? I won't object to anything you're doing over there as long as you leave me alone. And that's really what it is. It's called squishy Republicans. Yeah, they're conservative Republicans on the diplomatic floor. But the moment that serious decisions are actually brought into play, they fold. You see this in the transgender movement. You have now conservative Republicans that are actually turning down a bill, not voting for it, to stop doctors from giving children below the age of consent hormone blocking drugs that would stop them from actually going through a specific puberty. And they don't even have the consent to do it. I'm letting you know right now, when I was 14, I didn't know who I was. I had no idea. I was still trying to figure it out. But at the same time, as far as I'm concerned, I did a pretty good job. The point that I'm getting at as America is, what are you people thinking? I mean, how can this be allowed? How can something this controversial and this radical be allowed in our society? I mean, don't you see what this is doing to children? I mean, you know what? Don't get me wrong. If they're transgender already, I do believe in the aspect, guess what? A boy is a boy and a girl is a girl. I could care less what you think you identify by. I'm still going to call you by the biological pronouns of which you are. Okay, but I do believe that this whole entire phenomenon is definitely, I mean, it's a mental thing. What do they call it? Gender dysphoria. That's the title. So I keep thinking to myself, I'm like, I mean, come on, people. Figure it out. Please. I mean, before the next generation is so tarnished that we won't actually be able to recover. Like, we're done. As a country. As a people. A society. Anyway. I do have to say thank you to any one of my subscribers. And please give this podcast a like. It's edited by my 14-year-old son, so if it doesn't work out, yeah, there's where it went. But anyway, as I say every single time, this is Sean Ferrer. I'm the culturally woke Republican. And good luck, God bless, and Godspeed.